In case you missed it, last night I scrolled this little guy live. 7 layers. I'm doing this. It's my Easter project. And so I got it all scrolled last night. Took about an hour and a half. I scrolled it out of quarter sawn Arizona ash. So today I've been doing all the sanding and cleaning up the fuzzies and all of that, and I've actually started gluing them together. So let me show you what I got done. I'm using clear polyurethane glue for these. So I've got the first 2 layers glued up, and I've got the next 2 layers glued up, and I've got the next 2 layers glued up. The solid backer will be glued on last. I'm gluing these in stages because I figured it'd be easier. One of the things that I did do is, as you can see on this piece, I dyed the eggs. I dyed one red. It's supposed to be cherry red. It looks more magenta. I dyed one kind of an aquamarine and one yellow. I'm not going to apply any more color, I don't think. If I do, I may dye the leaves. I haven't decided yet. I've got to leave these set in the clamps for a couple of hours. Once I get them out of the clamps, I'll do some more sanding, and then I'll start gluing them together and eventually get around to the backer. But I'll show you the stages as it comes along. I've got the first, I've got these glued up in pairs, and I've resanded the insides. This is what it's going to end up looking like. But now I'm going to glue these 3 pairs together. And I think these are wide. Yep, they're big enough. I'm using clear polyurethane glue. It requires moisture to cure, so I damp the back of that. Put a little glue down there. I just want a light coat. You don't want a lot of squeeze out. And I'll set that on it. Turn it over. Damp this side. More glue. And this is how I glued the pairs together. I'm using light reflection to show me where I've got glue and where I don't. So I've got a nice coat all the way around the perimeter, which is all you want. That brush is no good anymore. I'm going to put that on there. Unlike unlike your traditional wood glues like Titebond and whatever, you can't hold this together and let it tack before you put it in the clamps, because it just doesn't tack. So I've got to be real careful when I apply the clamps, because I want all these seams as close as possible on the inside. I don't want them moving around or shifting. I've got everything sanded quite nicely so that everything matches up fairly well. It's not perfect. I'm going to have to do some shaping on the outside still. But my main goal right now is to get all of the inside pieces lined up good. Or as best I can. And then you know what? I think I want to put that back on right now. So in the morning when I come out here, I'm just going to damp this up. No. I'm not. Anyway. So when I come out here in the morning, all I have to do is sand it up and start applying the finish. Now I'm going to have to realign everything because nothing is lined up. That's lined up all inside about as good as I'm going to get it. I think it looks pretty good. So I will leave this sit here in the clamps overnight. And when I come back in the morning, it'll be ready to sand up and apply the finish. I've got this out of the clamps, got it all sanded up, nice and smooth. Looks pretty good. My logo burned in the back, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. So now what do we do? We put a finish on it. This is spar urethane, oil-based, semi-gloss. Try to hit it with a light coat because I don't want any of that dye to run. Once I get it sealed in, it'll be all right. So I just want to hit this with one light coat. And stop right there. This is probably going to take 3 or 4 coats. And unfortunately, I've got to go to Unfortunately, unlike lacquer, which I can do every 30 minutes, this is every 2 hours. And that also means I can't kick up any sawdust or sanding dust or dust of any kind while I'm waiting on that to happen. So it's going to be an all-day process of me putting the finish on here. And when I get the final coat on, after it's dry, I will come back and show you the process. But I'm relatively happy. It's you can see the curl. That's why I used an oil-based stain, because I wanted the curl to show up better. Oil always makes curl look better. So that's where it stands, and I'll come back, like I said, in 2 hours, recoat it, and when I'm satisfied with whatever last coat I put on it, be it third or fourth, then we'll put the stills up and I'll show you the finished product. I was hoping, for letting this set up to cure and dry overnight, I was hoping when I came out here this morning that it would all be done, but there was a little bit of a dull spot on the back side in one spot. So it needed one more coat, so I'm gonna have to wait overnight for it to dry before I can do anything with it. So here's my little Easter project. For lack of a better term, I'm calling it let's just call it an Easter Bunny shadow box. It's detailed, it's all scrolled. I did stain the basket of colonial maple, and it was a little bit darker before I applied the spar varnish, but for some reason it faded. And I smoothed this all out once it got nice and dry with Axe abrasive paste. Good stuff. Not just for turnings. Used a little on the front as well. So this will be on my website in a few days. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that watched me do the scrolling live. It was a lot of fun, and it was. I may do some more of these. Anyway, I'll put some stills up. Before I forget, check out my main channel, The Messy Studio. That thing right there, and I'll put a link to it up here. That's where I do all my wood turnings. Y'all have a great day.